Alright guys, welcome to BJJ Simplified. We're doing bed Jiu-Jitsu for this episode of this breakdown. I think it was Kade Ruotolo who hit this buggy choke, okay? And my good friend Box asked for a breakdown of this one, so let's break it down, okay? So head and arm choke, it's basically kind of like a head and arm choke. A lot of people think of head and arm chokes as like the Darce choke, the anaconda choke, but or an arm triangle choke, but basically the most popular head and arm choke that you can think of is the triangle choke. It's basically a head and arm choke, right? So let's think about the concept behind the behind the triangle, see how it works, and see the similarities between that and the buggy choke. Okay, so when we go for a triangle choke, right? So we got the head and the arm in, okay? So we're trying to block the carotid arteries. So what we're trying to do is, if you've got space here, like if you tighten up too soon, it's not gonna plug it, right? So you always wanna have something plugging it first. You make that connection. And on the other side, my leg coming in this way, once I'm perpendicular, you'll see that once I start going here, that's gonna put pressure on the shoulder and press up against the other side of her neck, right? That's why when you do a triangle, and her shoulder is completely free and you're locking up, you'll know because your shin is going diagonally downwards here. Once you start squeezing, sometimes you don't get it right away, right? So you want to have two pressures on the side, pressure downwards and pressure upwards. So if I go perpendicular, that's why perpendicular is such a good position for the triangle, is because now I can leg press that way, which will plug this side of her neck, and at the same time I can bring this one, kind of like activating my hip flexor to bring those two in. Now, a good way to practice that is to not bring the head down, just to practice the pressure. What you do is, with your knee, you go by her lat, and that doesn't really choke her as much, and then you adjust a little bit by the shoulder, and you'll see that her hand already wants to come and tap, right? So that's how you practice, try to figure out the proper placement of your legs for this one, okay? So you want to leg press, okay? Make sure that that's nice and plugged. And you go here. If you notice, I'm not even closing my triangle yet. I'm just doing that pressure, and it's gonna get the tap, right? So that's a way for you guys to practice. If you think about the buggy choke, it's the same thing. Now, the reason why I do eventually wanna do this is because I want to stop the pressure. I want to stop her from posturing up, which is a way for her to alleviate the pressure. So in the buggy choke, it's the same thing, what we're trying to apply, okay? We want to make sure that instead of our leg that's blocking this side of her neck, it's going to be kind of like our lat, okay? And the other side is going to be the same. It's going to be my leg, okay, coming in this way. Now, what's going to stop her from posturing up is my arm that's going over and grabbing my own leg, okay? Now, in that Kade Ruotolo fight or match, he went over, which I think is the best variation for this. I don't want her cross-facing me, okay? Now, there is a chance for a Von Flue choke to have me here where she drives this way and can choke me from here, just from pressure alone, and her weight distribution, if it's correct, it'll get me. So what I want to do is I want to actually swim my arm here, and you'll notice that Kade does that, right? Now, that same pressure that I'm looking for is going to be here. Again, if I'm too low like this, it might not be the same, you see? So I kind of want to target that part of her shoulder, okay? And the next thing is I want to make that connection with my lat right here. If it's too loose like this, you'll see like the looseness here. Like if I start squeezing, it won't do anything. So I actually want to come up, and I want my lat to be there. Then I get the crook of my elbow right here like this. Now, they triangle their legs like this, and now he's going to pull his own arm in to emphasize the pressure to bring this leg in. And what I want to do, guys, for the pressure is I want to kind of crunch in, okay, and activate my lat, okay? So I go here, boom, triangle, I bring in, and then I activate my lat, okay, for the choke. So very important when you're going for this choke or when you're trying to experiment with it, make sure that you have the mobility and the flexibility for your hips, okay? If your leg can't turn in like this as much, and you're trying to pull here, it's gonna go to your knee, okay? It's just kind of like when you're playing rubber guard and you're forcing it and you don't have the mobility there in your hips. it's gonna mess up your knee. So try to warm that up first before you go for it. If you don't have the flexibility for it, I suggest to not go for it, especially if the guy is a lot bigger and wider compared to your frame. You might not be able to get it. Okay, so that's the buggy choke. Think of it as a triangle. Replace the leg that's here on the side of their neck with your lat. And then come in, boom, practice this, kind of like the Eddie Bravo stretching that you used to do, right? And then you should be able to get it. So that's the buggy choke.
Bye.